500 500. Video games played a huge part in my upbringing. While many believe they are a waste of time, I give video games credit for helping build my character and who I am today. Some of the consoles and games I mention here are probably older than half of you watching. My very first console was the Nintendo Family Computer, aka the Famicom. If you are unfamiliar with this, you might recognize the American counterpart, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES. They're generally known to be the same console with a few differences. Honestly, you put red on anything and that's my bias. This console blew my mind as a kid. I had a humble selection of game cartridges, yes, they weren't even CDs yet, and half of which were niche and foreign, but if I turned on my Famicom without a game inserted, it would boot up a menu which had over 100 games. Tetris, Small B, billiards, some tank game. Was anyone else's like that? Was mine modded? I don't know, but it was awesome, and it blew my friends' minds too when I showed it to them. Not long after, I then got the Game Boy. Yes, that brick of a handheld console where I first discovered Pokemon and all its glory. I still remember that one time as a kid, I was chillin' after swimming lessons, sitting on a bench playing my Game Boy, waiting for my parents to pick me up. Another kid in my class was passing by and noticed I was playing Pokemon Red. Having the game himself, we naturally talked about how fun it is. Then he started talking about game cheats, and that's when he opened my eyes to the duplication glitch. You possess forbidden knowledge. Basically, at a certain part of the game, if you met the specific requirements, you're able to duplicate items in your inventory to a virtually infinite amount. This meant endless Master Balls, allowing you to catch any Pokemon effortlessly, endless elixirs, allowing your Pokemon to fight forever, and endless rare candies, allowing you to level up your Pokemon without having to fight at all. And consequentially, it was also when I discovered that although cheats did add a fun aspect of being overpowered and being able to obliterate the Elite Four and my rival Tae using a single move, I felt a sense of emptiness and lack of achievement because my victories weren't earned through genuine effort, but through dishonest methods. The destination was the journey, and the hardships I overcame along the way is what made the end that much more satisfying. The cheats killed the game and its purpose. There was no more journey. And that lesson rippled throughout my childhood and paved my way into adulthood. Well, good thing that was already like my 4th playthrough of Red, so I didn't feel guilty too long and continued to become a Pokemon master by cheating. Oh, what's up, Abra? You gonna try to teleport out of here again? Nuh-uh, not this time. You gonna join me today. I have enough Master Balls to catch you and your brothers and sisters right now and in the next 1,000 lifetimes. So go ahead, try and teleport. I'll come back. During that time, I also had the Super Nintendo, known to contain many legendary games that still hold a place in people's hearts today. Turtles in Time, Super Mario RPG and Super Mario World, Mega Man X2, Donkey Kong Country, Earthbound, Super Metroid, and A Link to the Past. But you know what game I probably played the most? That's right, freaking Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the Fighting Edition. Look, as cool as it was to watch people in tights save the city from monsters via martial arts, the Megazords have always been my favorite part about the shows. And this game allows you to play as them and beat the crap out of other Megazords and monsters. And to 7-year-old me, that was the bomb diggity. I looked it up recently and apparently it was pretty doo-doo and didn't do that well, but I still remember having lots of fun with it. Things don't need to be the best of its kind for you to enjoy them. Just because Captain Falcon's mid-tier doesn't mean I can't have fun kneeing people in the face and then going, yeah, you like that? Yeah, actually, I thought that was pretty cool. Good job, man. Thanks. My next console was the N64, of which I was introduced to the franchise that is still my favorite game series to this day. And yeah, you probably guessed it from that last reference. Yes, it's Super Smash Brothers, Sisters, Mothers, and Fathers. If you considered all the time I put into these games, except Brawl, I'm pretty sure I've clocked in well over a few thousand hours. Smash has such a simple concept that can appeal to all types of people. You try to beat each other up and knock your opponents off the stage so that they fall into oblivion and literally explode. Simple. But despite that, it can also be complex when taken competitively due to the numerous mechanics that aren't so obvious at face value. Complexity delivered in simplicity. In a way, that's what I strive for my work to be like. I then went through most of the Nintendo consoles that followed. I went through Sony's PlayStations 1 through 4. I kinda skipped the Microsoft line except for that used Xbox 360 I got off Kijiji a couple years ago so I could play Just Dance and try to impress Claire. But nothing really beats the bonding I've done and the friends I've made more than through PC gaming, especially those online. I like to think the circle of friends I'm in now have lasted this long because of the times we've struggled together as well as against each other in video games. Playing games together with strangers has taught me patience when working with an unfamiliar team, something you might find yourself doing often in real life. It's taught me that people I've never met before can enjoy the same things I do, despite having different backgrounds and cultures. It's opened my eyes to the actual size of the world and its population, large and diverse in a sense that games can be universal, that there are gamers everywhere, but seems small enough that people who are hundreds or thousands of miles apart can create long-lasting relationships because of a simple common interest. Here's a few more shoutouts to video games that have made great impacts in my life. The Zelda franchise for immersing me in such believable worlds full of lore and fantasy, Minecraft for giving me an outlet for my design cravings and applying them to a simulated open world reality that virtually had limitless possibilities, League of Legends for teaching me that having skins doesn't necessarily make me a better player, and also for allowing me to befriend some of the best people I know today, because we all learn to hate ourselves together. Solidarity. Oh, and MapleStory for teaching me that people online are really lonely and hormonal. Video games are just awesome, man, and I believe we're in the biggest gaming generation. Anyone can find a game that suits their tastes. Do you like beating the crap out of other people with cool combos and special skills? Fighting games. Are you looking for something that focuses on character growth and storytelling? Role-playing games. Do you have a good sense of tempo and coordination? Rhythm games. Are you looking for something with less commitment and immediate reward? Mobile games. Unless it's a gacha game, then it's the exact opposite. Commit hours grinding those gems just so you can roll a 4-star salamander for the 6th time. Damn you, Puzzles and Dragons. Damn you. And now we've got virtual reality taking big leaps in development. Who knows what kind of video games we'll be playing in 10 years? What if we're in a game right now? Stop. With the continuous advances in technology, the communities that revolved around video games are no longer niche nor underappreciated. Game design is so much more accessible now, and indie games have proven to be some of my favorite titles. However, disregarding the game developers themselves, many people's careers today revolve around the video games themselves and the culture around it. You think that was a self-sustaining lifestyle 15 or 20 years ago? People literally play games for a living now. Honestly, if I didn't take the animation route, I probably would have become a gaming channel. Wait, what are you thinking? Nothing? Dom? Many people today may still think video games are a waste of time, and I guess if you lack self-control and prioritize them over your responsibilities, then yeah, that may be true. But the culture of video games is a great influence as to why I am who I am today, and has brought me together with people I would have never expected to meet otherwise. And I'm sure a lot of you share the same belief. Video games have helped me keep my sanity during the lows in my life, and have made the highs even more enjoyable. The video game culture is always growing, and I'm never worried about a shortage of entertainment. But what I do have a shortage of is time, and unfortunately haven't been able to game as much as I used to. However, even during my work and travels, I can still take in content through audiobooks with Audible. And now, Amazon Prime members can start their membership and save 66% on their first 3 months by going to audible.com/Domix. Valid until July 31st. That's like 3 months for the price of 1. With the Audible app, you can enjoy your audiobooks wherever and whenever. They're yours to keep for life, and you can re-listen to them even if you cancel your membership. As a member, you'll receive 3 credits every month, which you can spend on 1 audiobook and 2 Audible originals, regardless of the price. If you haven't got the time to play or watch others play video games, why not listen to some of these video game related titles from Audible? Ready Player One, BioShock Rapture, Replay, The History of Video Games, and Super Mario, How Nintendo Conquered America. Once again, that's audible.com/Domix or text Domix to 500-500 for a 30-day trial with 3 audiobook credits, and until July 31st, Amazon Prime members can sign up and start their first 3 months at 66% off. Enjoy!
Me, Jaden, Domix, Ross, and Aaron are all going on tour doing a show called Scribble Showdown. We're going to these cities on these dates. So if you want to see us play some drawing games live, then go to scribbleshowdown.com, link in the description. Please. Okay, enjoy the video now. Do you all remember that classic kids movie made in the 70s about a pig and a spider? Yeah, Charlotte's Web. Remember how it made us a lot of money? Wait, didn't we already have this conversation? Yeah, we did. But we're remaking this conversation with better graphics and Will Smith.
Yeah.
But why would we remake something that's already good on its own when we could be making something totally original? Because, Ethan, we don't want to take risks, and this'll make us more money. But won't it be obvious to the audience that we're only doing these remakes for the money? They'll watch it anyways. I don't want you to think that I think that all sequels and remakes are bad. One of my favorite movies is a spin-off. And I'm very excited for the remake of The Dark Crystal to come out. And if you think I'm gonna make a video talking about it when it comes out, you are absolutely correct. So Disney is remaking a bunch of classical movies into live action. They did it with Tarzan, Alice in Wonderland, and they did it with 101 Dalmatians twice. And as someone who enjoys cartoons a little too much, I think it would be cool if they remade Treasure Planet or Atlantis into live action. Both of those movies are underrated and have a lot of high-stake, action-packed adventure that would be perfect for a reboot. And if they did get a reboot, it would introduce a new generation of kids to these awesome movies. But that's just my opinion. I'm sure Disney has good reasons for making sequels and spin-offs. Speaking of Disney sequels, I bet some of you forgot the very old straight-to-VHS Disney sequels. I try to forget about them every day. You can have your own opinion on the Disney sequels, but all the ones that went straight to VHS are terrible. Even The Lion King 2? That one emo lion was kinda hot. Did I stutter? I know all those sequels were technically done by a different studio, but let's just hope that Disney will finally break the bad sequel streak with Frozen 2. Or they should just let it go, straight to VHS. Some franchises like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings have long overarching stories that are designed to have multiple installments, and as long as the studio doesn't stretch out one book into 3 movies, then those types of movies are absolutely fine. But I don't want to talk about those movies. I want to talk about sequels to standalone films. Now, I believe that a sequel to a standalone film can be done, but it's a delicate process. Because in the first movie, you establish the characters and the world they live in, then the protagonist has to overcome a problem, usually defeating a villain, and then the characters live happily ever after, and the story is all wrapped up nicely with a bow, and just what a nice story we got there. I'm just gonna set it down and watch it from time to time and not change it one bit. But then a sequel comes along and says, oh, you thought the characters lived happily ever after? And then rips off the nice bow and says there's another more evil villain who wasn't mentioned in the first movie for some reason. If a sequel turns out bad, it can devalue the original movie. There's a reason we don't talk about Atlantis 2 or Pocahontas 2. Or Mulan 2, or Hunchback 2, or Aladdin 2, or Cinderella 2, or Beauty and the Beast 2, or Tarzan 2. 'Cause they didn't happen. So that's why I'm always impressed whenever a good sequel is made. And a studio that I think does an amazing job at making sequels is called DreamWorks. But I've noticed a pattern with DreamWorks franchises that I've coined the DreamWorks trequel paradox. I think the right word might be trilogy, but I'm just gonna say trequel. You see, DreamWorks has a track record of creating amazing sequels, but pretty subpar trequels. Here's what I mean. Now, keep in mind that these are not my opinion. These reviews are objectively correct facts. And also, I just want to say I know that these movies are kids' movies, but I like animated movies more than real ones. And I'm a cartoon character, so Shrek 1. Great movie, great characters, great message, 10 onion layers out of 10. Shrek 2, it's the first movie in history to be better than the original, and it created the best music video of all time. I need 11 heroes out of 10. Shrek 3, not in my swamp.
Okay, I know we might not all agree, but here's another example. Kung Fu Panda 1, perfect movie. Any movie with anthropomorphic animals is always a win in my book. I think we have a best-selling franchise on our Panda Paws. Kung Fu Panda 2, just as good as the original. How many sequels have an animated bird as a villain? Besides Stuart Little 2. So far we got 10s across the board, but then Kung Fu Panda 3 comes along and... I'm sorry, Jablinski, I just wasn't feeling this one. Which is why I was so worried for How to Train Your Dragon 3, and let's just say the DreamWorks treacle paradox didn't break its trend. However, there's one franchise that doesn't follow the DreamWorks treacle paradox, and it haunts my dreams works. And that franchise is Madagascar. I remember loving this movie as a kid, and apparently I wasn't the only kid who enjoyed it because it made $193,595,521. So DreamWorks made 2 more of these movies, and created the thing that haunts my dreams. Now, personally, I don't really care for these movies. They're fine. I haven't rewatched them at all, so 5 out of 10. But there's another movie in this franchise. A movie that shouldn't be as good as it is, and honestly, I'm a little embarrassed to admit that it might make the list of my top 5 favorite movies. I don't think enough people are talking about this movie, so I'm gonna be the one who breaks the ice. That metaphor is relevant because we're talking about Penguins of Madagascar. Penguins of Madagascar is the best movie that features penguins ever. Better than Happy Feet and Happy Feet 2, and it's 1,000 times more realistic than March of the Penguins. There's a scene where the penguins fall off an airplane and go hopping from one airplane to another. It's so entertaining, and it's all done in one continuous camera shot, so I'm not talking with a hint of irony when I say that this scene is a cinematic masterpiece. I don't remember when I first watched Penguins of Madagascar. It came out when I was 18, so I'm probably not the target demographic, but I remember after watching it thinking, wow. That's a good movie. And I didn't think about that movie again until years later on Halloween night 2018. I was in a Discord call with some friends who were also spending their Halloween night behind a computer, and naturally we were discussing which Madagascar sequel was better. Some people actually liked the second one, which was surprising, and I said, well, no matter what you think of the sequels, at least we can all agree that Penguins of Madagascar is better than both of them, right? And everyone in the call was like, what are you talking about? And instead of watching a scary movie that Halloween night, we all virtually watched a movie about penguins together, and I think everyone liked it. Okay, let's talk about another studio, Pixar. Pixar movies do a good job at appealing to a wide audience. Kids like them because they're a cartoon, and adults like them because of their heavy themes like old people dying. Almost every movie Pixar has made has been a cinematic classic. Penguins of Madagascar, however, is not one of those emotionally inducing movies. It doesn't teach a thought-provoking life lesson. It's an hour and a half of penguins fighting an octopus, and I love it. Every morning when I watch Penguins of Madagascar, I feel like a kid again. I am jealous of the writing in this movie. Okay, there's one fart joke, but that's my only complaint. Now, do I think Penguins is better than all of these Pixar movies? No, definitely not. But I do think this movie is really good, and IMDb gave it a 6.7 when it clearly deserves a 10. I don't know if this video convinced you to watch Penguins of Madagascar, but if you're retroactively looking for the next summer blockbuster movie to watch, then it's got my recommendation. James, are you being sponsored by Penguins? I wish. There wasn't really a point to this video, I just wanted an excuse to talk about my favorite DreamWorks spinoff. So, in conclusion, I'm really excited for The Dark Crystal 2 coming out on Netflix. The show's being released on August 30th, which is coincidentally this channel's 5-year anniversary. So don't expect me to work that day. Okay, admittedly, this video went off the rails a tiny bit. I'm sorry. Hey everyone, I feel like I always say this, but I know it's been a while. I did a lot of shows recently, like Scribble Showdown, which you might have heard of. I'm going on tour in early October, so click the link in the description for more information. I know it's summer when I post this video, but I don't post that often, so I probably won't get another chance to tell you that there's some back-to-school bundles in my merch store if you're one of those people that goes to school. Big thanks to everyone who worked on this video. I couldn't have done it without them. And a big thanks to you for watching me gush about penguins for a really long time. I hope you don't think of me any differently knowing that I dislike The Lion King 2. I'm sorry. I'm really tired and I want to get this video done, so I'm just going to wrap up this end card. Wear your seatbelt.
Oh, Oh no, that door is not locked. I watched that woman just waltz right through. Let me in right now or I swear to— As a kid, my first video game experience was when my parents got me a Game Boy Advance when I was 5. I would lay on the couch sideways to be under the lamp so I could actually see the game because otherwise it was like playing nothing. My parents eventually got me that big bulky light add-on so I wouldn't have to look like a moth whenever I wanted to play Super Circuit. Those were classic childhood days I look back on fondly. It's weird how technology was so good, but also straight up crap. You can't see the games because the screen is too dark? I don't know, here's a tiny light bulb. I played mainstream games like Pokemon and Mario and Kirby, but my parents also got me really random games they probably just found in the clearance bin at the store, which made for a mix of some interesting gaming experiences. And I kinda wanted to relive the glory days and see if the games actually were like I remember. So I replayed a bunch of them, and here's what happened. First game, Powerpuff Girls Battle Hymn for the Game Boy Color. I didn't have a Game Boy Color, so I got to play it on my Game Boy Advance SP with half the cartridge sticking out. I also don't remember being able to get past the first stage and just replay the first screen all the time. Granted, as a kid, I loved the feeling of starting a new game and would always restart a Pokemon file because I liked the clean slate feeling. So I was like, maybe I never got too far because of similar reasoning. No, not the case. This game can go die in a hole. I love it, it's my childhood, but oh my god, someone could hit all of them with a hammer, and I would not be sad. You play as Bubbles, which, may I mention, looks weirdly buff. Even as a kid, I was like, is this Bubbles a man? You fly around and collect, like, everything. There's so many collectibles, and I don't know what any of them do. Rings, trading cards, plutonium, hearts, phones, people. But it's almost impossible because the flying mechanics are like trying to control melting butter over a saucepan. The whole game is an ice level in the sky. There's also criminals afoot, and they're ready to fight you. You can beat them up, but I also like how if you just walk past them, they'll square up and then just go, meh, whatever. This guy just straight up has a gun. Alright, who gave the nerd a gun? Ow! Ow! Stop! Ow! Stop! Also, what the heck is that? Is he hitting me? I don't think he's hitting me. I think he's just spinning anyway. Anyway, this game is bullcrap. The levels are huge and way too open for the screen size, so you get lost. Moving around is a nightmare. Things you need to do to progress are cryptic as heck. The first level, you've got to find a key after rescuing Miss Bella. Where's the key? Under a secret cave that's almost invisible and hard to get to. That's not level 1 material. Oh, why wouldn't you want to explore the area and find it on your own? Because the controls are garbage, and I'm honestly just trying to survive. I stopped playing after getting halfway through the second game. It's all way too difficult to figure out. I watched this guy stream the game to see if I was just being an idiot with video games, and he wasn't having much different of an experience, so I felt better about myself after that. Next game, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. As a kid, I remember really liking this game, probably because SpongeBob was my favorite TV show, so I was excited to revisit it. I was shut down real quick. This game's a platformer with a pretty simple plot. Plankton made a bunch of robots to steal a Krabby Patty formula, but forgot to set the obey Plankton lever to on, and why bother just flipping it to obey when it's already down anyway? So now there's robots all over the place, not obeying anyone, and SpongeBob needs to do something about it because Mr. Krabs says they're scaring away me customers. But the thing is, the robots are kinda harmless. They just ponder around and do nothing necessarily evil. Even when you bump into them, they're like, oh, pardon me. This robot can't harm you. This big guy wouldn't hurt a fly. This one takes you to where you need to go. I don't see much of an issue here other than the fact there's just robots walking around. What was that? Does someone have a gun? Oh my god, this one's just a bazooka. So the majority of the enemies in the game aren't enemies. They're more just objects/platforms to help you get to the end of the level. But the thing about this game is that someone put the gravity to like 300%. SpongeBob can't jump high or far enough to cover almost any ground, so most of the time you have to redo a bunch of stuff because if you don't wait until the last little pixel of the platform, then you ain't making that jump. It's so tedious and adds a bunch of frustration to the game. Not to mention the robots you're supposed to jump or stand on move so slow, and most of the time when you get to them, they're moving the opposite direction, so you have to wait for them to slowly float all the way back to you a decade later, only for you to miss the jump because the gravity is bricks. I played through the whole game, and the amount of times I died because I couldn't see the next platform, or had to take leaps of faith, or even just got hit with bullets out of nowhere was torture. Just move the camera, you're making me dizzy. Zoom the camera, I don't know why. I can't Oh my god! I thought the boss levels were decent. They're probably the easiest parts of the game, though. The Patrick robot was horrifying, and I don't want to see it ever again. I love this game. I have great memories playing it like 13 years ago, but right now, it's dead to me. Great game. I played it a bunch as a kid. It can burn in a ditch. Moving on to Barbie Groovy games. I know, it sounds weird. Jaden, why did you have a Barbie game? Were you super girly as a kid? No, I wasn't. My parents just gave it to me, and I played it because what else was I gonna do? Not play it. Unlike the other games I've talked about so far, this one's just a bunch of Barbie-themed mini-games. Tic-tac-toe, draughts, which is a fancy word for saying checkers. This weird horse racing version of Hangman, Connect 4. Fun fact about me, I will always lose at Connect 4. I think what happens is I just get too focused on what I'm doing to notice the other person winning. I suck at Connect 4 and I'm proud. There's a bunch of other games on there, some suck more than others. The one I remember the most as a kid was a version of Snake. Conga Line. I'm not joking. They took Snake and were like, but what if instead of a snake eating apples, it's a bunch of Barbies dancing in a conga line, and they can like pick up Barbies along the way to make a longer line. I love this game. It's stupid and hilarious, and I can't get enough of it. Look at those moves! They are having the time of their life in this bedroom, I think. Also, when you miss one of the girls, it becomes a weird, like, cult dance. Imagine that scenario right there in real life. That's terrifying, and I want it to be real. So the Barbie game was pretty fun. I lost at most of the other games against Teresa, but we don't need to talk about that. It's one of those pick up and put down wherever you want kind of games, and I understand why I liked it as a kid. Finally, we've gotten to the last game. This one's a bit different because it's a plug and play game. I had a couple of these as a kid. The SpongeBob plug and play and the Nicktoons plug and play. And also the Disney plug and play. The Nicktoons plug and play was my favorite as a kid, so I wanted to replay that one. There's a Fairly Odd Parents game that's kind of just Pac-Man, Jimmy Neutron game with ladders and aliens. It's alright. A SpongeBob board game thing you can play with friends. But the games that I wanted to talk about are the Rocket Power one and the other SpongeBob game. There's two, and this is the better one. I loved the Rocket Power one, and would mainly play the plug and play just for this game specifically. It's basically a top-down scroll game where you avoid obstacles, go through flags, and grab collectibles for points. But that wasn't my favorite aspect of the game. I liked this part. You get points from jumping and literally demolishing other skateboarders. My 7-year-old self would go out of my way every level to destroy as many other children as possible. I didn't care how much it slowed down my time. That was not my objective here. Overall, 10 out of 10 game, entertained me for years. The objective of the SpongeBob game was to shoot Krabby Patties into the mouths of everyone in town and grab the money they toss on the ground. I mean, it's not conventional, but I guess there's nothing particularly wrong with that business exchange. Everyone just wants a Krabby Patty, so as long as you don't run out of patties, you can kind of just shoot them at whoever. Oh, jeez. Sorry about that, man. I didn't... Alright, besides that guy, you can just shoot them at... Oh no! Is that kid dead? What happened there? I mean, he looked not too upset about the fact I just popped his balloon while he was dangling 15 feet in the air. I guess the world moves on. I'll just not think about it and keep doing this Krabby Patty stuff. Alright, cool. It didn't hinder me at all in the end. It was for the greater good. Another 10 out of 10 game. That was my nostalgic trip down weird video game lane. It was surprisingly fun and also not fun to revisit these old games. Opening them up again and seeing the graphics and hearing the music gave me immediate flashbacks to when I played them 15 plus years ago. But also trying to actually beat them made me want to never play them ever again and kind of tainted the illusion they were good and fun games. Looking at you, Powerpuff Girls and Battle for Bikini Bottom. Did I have fun? Yes. Kinda. Alright, I actually think I had more frustrated hours than fun hours. But did I have at least a little fun? Yes. The ratio doesn't matter that much. Should you do this? I don't care. This was a fun video to make. Not because I got to play video games for it, but because I got to show how much of a gamer I am. It's pretty impressive how gamer I am. Anyway, it's a bit different of a video. I've been wanting to see what else I can do with videos lately and explore a bit. If you like this one and there's a lot of maybe I'll talk about soon. Also, I wanted to mention again, if you wanted to see James, Dom, Ross, Aaron, and me drawing it up on and me drawing it up in Scribble Showdown. Tickets are still on sale on the website, and we'll be on tour October 1st. Stop it! Hey, what are you talking about? October 1st through the 9th. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and hopefully we don't end up hating each other by the end of it, since we're all gonna be cramped on a tour bus together for a week straight. But I might see you there, and I might see you at VidCon. You won't see Ari. He's gonna be at home. Thanks for watching. Peace out, gamers. Say peace out, Ari. Hey, stop it.
So originally I was going to make a video talking about Boy Scouts because I was a Boy Scout, but then as I was writing the script I thought about all the fun things I did as a Cub Scout. So here we are. Cub Scouts is something you can do before you're old enough to be a Boy Scout. It's not required to do Cub Scouts to be a Boy Scout. It's just if you're up to it or if your parents signed you up, you can do it. Now you're already pretty young when you can start doing Boy Scouts. It's why it's called Boy Scouts, not Man Scouts. You can start doing Cub Scouts when you're 7. At what point does it just become babysitting in uniform? So all you people watching over the age of 7, let me tell you what you missed out on. Unlike Boy Scouts that wear a tan uniform, Cub Scouts wear a dark blue uniform. Now there are 4 ranks to the Cub Scouts. There were some requirements you had to do to go up the ranks, but if you went to the meetings every week, you'd be fine. You didn't have to do anything on your own time. And even if you did all the requirements in the rank, you still had to be in the rank for at least a year. So basically the ranks were based on your age. When you were 7 years old in 1st grade, you were a Tiger Scout. The 2nd graders were the Wolf Scouts. The 3rd graders were the Bear Scouts.